Castlevania Symphony of the Night, one of the most profound and classic Castlevania games of the series. The one game that coined the Metroidvania style that we know of today. Hello everyone, my name is Megason, and I will be talking about one of my most beloved and most likely most played video game of all time, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, for its 20th year anniversary. Symphony of the Night is one of the few games I hold true and dear to my heart. This game introduced me to not only the Castlevania series, but the Metroidvania style that I love till this day. I can never, ever get enough Metroidvania style games. Oh my god, this is like the one style of game I absolutely love. Metroidvania is such a staple in my life when it comes to video games. It's like bread and butter. That's how much I love Metroidvania games, and it's all because of Symphony of the Night that started it all for me. What is a Metroidvania game? Well, as the name says, Metroid and Castlevania. Metroid was the first game to use the free-roaming labyrinth-style gameplay in a game, where you would run around this huge area looking for items, secret places, where to go next, find giant bosses. It was just all about going forward and having to backtrack to be able to progress forward even more. All the secrets and everything you could possibly find in these games. It opened up a whole new world, not only for me, but for a lot of other people. What started it all was Metroid 3, or better known as Super Metroid. It was so beloved and praised for its huge labyrinth of a world you played in. Funny enough, it was not the first Metroidvania game I played. Castlevania, up until Symphony of the Night, was a linear style game that took you from one screen to the next, the traditional style of a lot of side-scrolling games from back in the day. The assistant lead game director, Koji Igarashi, who is known as Iga, who was an employee and a producer of the Castlevania series. He is known as a legend in the video game world. Taking the ideal of the open labyrinth that the Metroid games had and placing it into the Castlevania world, he decided to turn Dracula's castle into this giant maze of wonders, allowing players to control and explore at their own pace. Little that they knew that they had a masterpiece in the making that will go down to video game history. Igarashi, after the success of Symphony of the Night, went to make over 10 more Castlevania games in the series. In recent years, Iga would leave Konami behind and form his own company. He felt like Konami was going down the wrong path, that they felt like no one wanted the old style Castlevania Metroidvania style games. Iga felt the opposite of this, so he ended up forming his own company named Igavania to bring back the old style Metroidvania games that we love. Back in May of 2015, Iga started his Kickstarter promoting a new Metroidvania game called Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, which is taking us to the old style Castlevania Metroidvania games that we love. Originally, the Kickstarter was for $500,000. Within a couple of days, they hit their goal, and by the end of the Kickstarter, they raised $5.5 million. With this Kickstarter, it showed that people are still willing and wanting the Metroidvania style games that we have grown up and loved for all these years. Iga was able to prove to the world that this style isn't dead, where Konami thought they knew better and decided to turn the Castlevania games into a 3D God of War style game, while Iga thought otherwise, and now we have proof to show that, hey, we still want Castlevania the way it was. We still love the labyrinth world, even if it was 3D, like with Le Monde Innocent and Curse of Darkness. As long as we have that exploration, that style of a huge labyrinth, and we're trying to find items, secret areas, and explore this huge castle or dungeon or world like they did with Order Ecclesia, where you play inside a actual world, where we went from caverns to mountains to underwater, and it was still all Metroidvania, but it still kept to what it was. If we had something like that from Konami again, I think Castlevania would do a lot better than trying being a 3D God of War game. Funny enough, not everyone knows there was actually two different versions of Castlevania Symphony of the Night. We have the one that everyone knows about, which is for the PlayStation 1, Then we have the Sega Saturn release, only in Japan. There are quite a few differences, but it's still essentially the same game. In the American version, or the PlayStation 1 version I should call it, we get to play as Alucard, and later on we can unlock Richter. In the Sega Saturn version though, you're given the option to pick out of the 3 main characters you see in the game: Alucard, Richter, and Maria. Each one plays differently, but the actual main story, like in the PlayStation 1 version, is Alucard. If you play as Richter or Maria, you don't get to have every single boss or see everything, but you pick Alucard, you get the full ongoing experience of what the game is. There's also some zones that were not included in the PlayStation 1 version that were in the Sega Saturn version. One zone being, I think, is called the prison, where it's about 2 zones big. And I don't mind you, I've played both games fully, and the prison is not really much there to. It's not really worth mentioning. It's only 2 zones with some monsters and like a ghost that looks like a person with a blanket on their face. There's not even a boss. Then you have what I really like about Sega Saturn version is called the Underground Garden. The Underground Garden has a beautiful like plant look vibe. You get to see plants, you get to see gargoyles. Also has a nice like red hue in the background with the green luscious plants. But this zone also has a boss at the end, which makes it even better than the prison. To access this place is actually at the very front of the game where the gate is. If you ever played Castlevania, you'll notice there was this small little doorway right at the front that you couldn't get under unless you glitched your way under there. In the PlayStation 1 version of the game, you're able to glitch yourself under there, but you only go so far and you find yourself at a save point, and that's about it. That was actually the Underground Garden being developed. I would love to see this in the actual release for the PlayStation 1 version. It would have been nice, but it wasn't actually there. Much like the PlayStation 1 version, Alucard and Richter played pretty much the same way. Alucard, you picked up a bunch of different weapons, you equipped him with different armor and stuff like that. Richter, you use the whip, you fight, you go on, you just go through the game. Maria, on the other hand, she is a powerhouse character. She is so strong. She's so fast, and her damage, everything she does, she can kill things really, really easy. But she's very weak in defense. But I was able to run through the whole game as her and quickly go from the start to the end within maybe a couple hours. With all that said, you'll probably think the Sega Saturn version would be better than the PlayStation 1 version. However, that's not the case. A lot of the issues with the Sega Saturn version is longer load times, and some of the zones, or screens I should say, are cut in half to help load things faster and easier. I mean, both games are still the same game, they're great, but I had to like the PlayStation 1 better because I grew up with that one, and it's the one I know. The music behind Castlevania is beautiful. You have such a beautiful sounding gothic tone throughout the game that really sets the mood. Not only with that, the art style of the game, the gameplay, this game is a complete masterpiece in my opinion. It is one of the defining games that shows that you can have graphics, music, gameplay, everything put into one and make a beautiful game. Castlevania will always have a place in my heart, and it will always probably be my favorite game of all time. Because of Castlevania, Symphony of the Night, and Metroid, we get games like Rogue Legacy, Axiom Verge, Hollow Knight, and all these other amazing Metroidvania games. It really helped define an amazing genre that was undiscovered for a long time, that wasn't really tapped into until Symphony of the Night came about. And now we have so many of those games, and we have Castlevania and Metroid to thank for this. So thank you Nintendo for bringing out Metroid 3 or Super Metroid, and thank you Konami for bringing out Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and an even bigger thanks to one of my favorite, all-time favorite game developers, Igarashi. I love your work, and I am following your progress on Blessing Ritual Night, and I cannot wait for it. So thank you for giving us such a great genre of games. and I'm looking forward to blessing Retro Night. With all that said, I would like to thank you guys for watching my video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you liked it, please thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and comment below. Thank you guys for watching, and happy anniversary to Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets. But enough talk. How about you?